Hey everybody, Eric here from Psychic Vacuum. I've seen a thread floating around a little bit here and there on YouTube, 10 most played albums, and to be honest, the first one I watched was Dennis from Analog Archives, just posted one a little while ago, and yeah, kind of just inspired me to go off the cuff and just pull a bunch of albums out of my collection that I have played a lot over the years. Now, right off the bat, my channel is going to be rock and metal based. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to be a piece of shit, and I couldn't do it. I tried to pull 10 albums out of my collection, and I couldn't do it. So I've got 10 metal albums and 10 rock albums. And I'm going to do 10 metal albums in this video and 10 rock albums in the next video. So here we go. Without further ado, I'm going to start off in kind of chronological order of when I heard them, to be honest. So this is going to be first. Black Sabbath, Paranoid, if you can't tell. I mean, anybody who's into metal has heard this album. Or, I hope so anyway. It's just a fucking classic. What do you even say about this? It's so good. I mean, Tony's riffing on here. Every member of this band, Geezer's bass, Bill Ward's drumming with the huge jazz influence that he had, Tony's riffing with the drop D tuning, and Ozzy's vocals, of course, just so good. It's a timeless classic. One of the first heavy metal albums, and so influential and just so amazing to this day. I can still listen to War Pigs at any time, and it's still great. Man, there's so many riffs in that song that just are so fantastic. Paranoid is the thing that they notoriously just wrote and recorded in the studio in like half an hour or whatever. To fill out the album and to put out a single. Planet Caravan, that mellow jazzy thing. Iron Man, of course everybody knows that stomping rhythm. Electric Funeral, man, that whole second half of this album, a lot of it is so heavy. Electric Funeral especially, just doomy as hell. Hand of Doom, you could say the same thing. Rat Salad, that instrumental, jazzy but still heavy, and Fairies Wear Boots, just I mean, awesome. Yeah, I shouldn't ramble on for too long, but amazing album. If you somehow haven't heard that, just don't watch my channel anymore. Just go listen to Black Sabbath for a while, because I don't know what else to say. Alright, next one up. I don't care what anybody says, man. Lamb of God was one of the first bands that I listened to that had completely harsh vocals. And they were definitely a gateway drug into more extreme metal. Even though it took me a while after hearing these guys to actually get into death metal or black metal or even a lot of extreme thrash stuff. Man, I still love this album. This is the 10th anniversary. I mean, there's not much to show here. It's just kind of weird artwork. 10th anniversary CD and DVD remastered. The original is very raw. There's a notorious story which you can see on the DVD here. Devin Townsend from Strapping Young Lad and Solo and Steve Vai and all that kind of stuff produced this album, and his laptop that he was going to record everything on for this album got seized at the customs at the airport when he was flying into the States from Canada, and they ripped his laptop apart and destroyed it. So they had to use all old analog gear, which he didn't know how to use at the time. This thing turned into kind of, they described it as polishing a turd, and they did the best they could. The original album has a charm of its own. It's raw, it's gritty. This thing, I think, does sound better, but either way, this is just a great album. It's I did pull up one other album here to, I mean, you could throw this in there too. Ashes of the Wake. I forgot to say the name of this album. This is As the Palaces Burn. Yeah, you could equate this to some kind of, like, Gothenburg kind of Swedish melodeath type stuff. But it's really thrashy. It's got elements of thrash. It's really melodic. It's got some doomy parts. It's just got really great drumming, especially, man. The drumming on this album is just intense. The whole album, man, is just intense. And yeah, if you've heard a ton of this kind of stuff before, I can see where you may just say this is the same kind of stuff. But coming to this as a high school kid, this really blew my mind, and I still love this album to this day. It's just great. So that's all I have to say about it. Yeah. Next up, another one I got into in high school, Macedon, Crack the Sky. Macedon was a band I got into really probably mid-high school, grade 10 or so, and yeah, they just sounded like no one else that I had ever listened to. Just to this day even, like, some of the riffs and stuff on here don't sound like anybody else. They have a certain, almost, I feel bad saying this, but a country kind of influence in some of the riffs, just that twang and that finger-picking kind of style. But the songs on this album are just super progressive, but they still retain that original thing that they started with, that like hardcore influence, sludgy, just heavy ass riffing, and the drumming on here is crazy. Braun Daler is an absolute machine. This is, I think, the first album he started to do vocals on. He does really good cleans on here. You got, I believe, all four of the guys doing vocals on this album. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but you got at least three of them. And they each have a unique style, which adds a really cool element to the album, gives it a lot of diversity, and man, the songs on here are just so memorable and fantastic. I don't know what else to say about this, but if you're into prog metal at all, or sludge metal, just check this out. Or metal in general. I mean, still, check it out. Like Nick from Thrall says, check it out, form your own opinion. Next one up. Toss up between these two, which I heard first, but probably this one. Opeth. I went with Deliverance. I mean, I could have gone with Ghost Reveries. I could have gone with Blackwater Park. But I've listened to this album just as much as those other two, or Still Life as well. But those three, I feel like, get a lot of people talking about them. And this one, yeah, I've listened to it just as much, and it doesn't get as much credit as it deserves, I think. It's probably Opeth's heaviest album. I mean, you start things off with Wreath. That song is just fucking brutal. And Deliverance, the second track, it's like, I think 13 minutes long or something. This was really my gateway into extreme metal. I mean, Lamb of God I was talking about kind of got me halfway there, but Opeth with the full-on death growls and stuff, this was totally my gateway into death metal. And yeah, just still, I love this album. I mean, I don't know, there's nothing really, not much to see and hear, but yeah, just an amazing album. Master's Apprentices is heavy as fuck. By the Pain I See in Others is a really underrated song. I never hear anyone talk about that song. A Fair Judgment on here too. No harsh vocals, but it's just epic. And the end of it is so doomy. It's almost better when they play it live and they slow it down even more, but on here it's still great. So yeah, check it out. It's awesome. Next one up, one of the first extreme, I would call them extreme metal bands I got into. I may have heard this before I heard the Opeth, it's hard to say, but Slayer, South of Heaven, sorry. I don't know if I would call this my favorite Slayer album. It's so much of a toss-up between the first 5, honestly. They're all great. And even Divine Intervention is good too. I haven't heard anything after that, to be honest. But, man, the 80s Slayer stuff, you can't go wrong. South of Heaven, the title track on here, that melody, that opening melody is just so evil. When the harmony comes in and shit, oh, holy shit. Silent Scream, Live Undead, Behind the Crooked Cross, Mandatory Suicide, Ghosts of War, Read Between the Lies, Cleanse the Soul, Dissident, Aggressor, and Spill the Blood. I mean, this album front to back is just banger after banger. So many amazing riffs on this album. Yeah, you can say what you will about the solos. I don't really listen to this type of stuff to pick out what notes they're playing and, oh, listen to that sweep or that arpeggio or the tapping or whatever. I mean, I play guitar myself, but I don't know. I don't care that much. When the songs and the riffs are this good, and Dave Lombardo, need I say more? Some of his best drumming on this album. And just amazing. And look at that artwork too. You can't not like an album when it has that artwork on it. So killer. Oops. And I will come back to that sort of later. Anyway, next one. Honestly, the next one I heard may have been this. Morbid Angel, Covenant. Yeah. Just one of the earlier death metal albums I heard, and still one of the best to this day, in my opinion. I mean, it's just a masterpiece from start to finish. You open with a Rapture. Sounds like Pete Sandoval has 6 arms and 3 legs. Just going absolutely nuts on that song. Pain Divine. World of Shit. Come on. So doomy. Vengeance is Mine. The Lion's Den. Blood on My Hands. Angel of Disease is kind of... It does feel slightly like it almost doesn't fit on this album, because it's an older track. It's really thrashy, almost punky in a way, but it's still a great song. Sworn to the Black, Narmataru, and God of Emptiness. Man, I mean, come to me faithfully. Like, come on. This album is just a masterpiece. I'm not gonna open up all these albums. You guys should just listen to these. If you like them that much, just buy them, and then you'll see all the shit inside. That's not what this video is about. It's about the music. And yeah, just an absolute banger start to finish. Morbid Angel, Covenant. Next one I heard is probably... I may have actually heard this before the Morbid Angel. This is Celtic Frost to Megatherion. And, okay, I should I should show the band pictures on the back here because those are just awesome. My camera quality sucks right now. I gotta get a better camera. So sorry about that, but I have a weird relationship with this album, to be honest. I heard it once or twice, and I didn't really know what to make of it. I didn't really like it that much, or I wasn't sure if I liked it at first. And then a couple of years went by, and I was going to school in a town I didn't really know anyone there, and I used to go smoke weed behind the campus in the forest, and then listen to metal albums in my room. And the one day I had a toke out of my pipe, and I went back inside, and I don't know, it had been a couple of years since I heard this, and I was just like, I want to listen to Megatherion right now. Or to Megatherion, I should say. There was something that I remembered about it that was unique. And I just wanted that feeling, and I put it on, and it blew my mind. And ever since then, I've loved it. And it does have something absolutely unique about it. The riffing on here, to this day, the early Celtic Frost stuff, the riffing on it is just otherworldly. It's like, it's unlike anything else. Any band that incorporates riffs that sound anything like this just instantly sounds like Celtic Frost to me. You could call this first wave black metal, you could call this thrash, you could call this early death metal, whatever you want to call it. It's fucking amazing. And it doesn't sound like anything else. And yeah, I listen to this shit a lot. So yeah, there you go. Next up, I think I got into all three of these albums around the same time, so I'm not going to go in any particular order. Voivod, Nothing Face. I for some reason don't... Actually, nope. That was... I almost lied to you guys. Because I was about to say I don't own Dimension Hatros. But I actually just picked this up a little while ago. And I'm pretty sure it's in here. Yeah. And Killing Technology. Okay, I'll just show this off quickly too. This box set, Lost in Space, or Forgotten in Space, I should say, is fucking awesome. And there's a vinyl version, of course, too, but it's got all the early stuff. So I mean, yeah, I could have picked Killing Technology. I could have picked Dimension Hatros. I could have picked drawing a blank on the album name. The 3D alien dude. Oh my god. The Outer Limits. Anyway, any of those albums, but I chose this one. It might be my most listened to Voivod album. These guys are one of my favorite bands. And again, another band where I heard them at first and I was like, what the fuck is this? I heard Snake's vocals and I was like, man, this, like, the band is pretty good, but the vocalist just sucks. And a few years later, oh, my computer is going to sleep here. A few years later, I went back to it and it just clicked. And I realized that he was singing those specific notes to be out of key, or to create a certain type of dissonance to add to the dissonant sound they already had, and it fucking blew my mind at that point. This album is just amazing, mind-blowing. It might take a little time to sink in if you're not used to this kind of stuff, but just give it a few listens, and if you don't get it after that, maybe you won't, and that's fine too, but it really got to me after a few listens, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time now. Voivod, Nothing Face. Let's see. I should toss that up there too. Only two more left. The CD case is kind of beat up, but... And this album cover, this isn't even the original... I don't know what's going on, but... It's Enslaved Esau. Man, Enslaved are one of my... I'd probably put them in my top 5 favorite bands of all time, regardless of metal or non-metal or whatever. Yeah, they don't even have the original artwork in the booklet. But, I feel like this one... No, it didn't come with a slipcase. The original artwork looks something like that, anyway. This album, man, Enslaved started out as... I shouldn't say straightforward Norwegian black metal, because they always had some proggy elements. I mean, you listen to stuff as far back as Hordane's Land. Even there, they had like 10-minute songs and shit. But this is around the time Below the Lights too is amazing. Monumention, even Eld, or later stuff too, like Vertebrae or In Times. I mean, they're, like I said, they're one of my favorite bands, and they take black metal and they just push it to its limit. This album, it has elements of black metal still, but it has a really clean production, probably the cleanest production they had at this point, and it just adds so many elements of 70s prog rock. And I'm a huge 70s prog nerd, so this is right up my alley. This is one of the earlier black metal bands I got into, and they're still, yeah, one of my favorite bands of all time. Just every song on here is amazing, but if you're gonna listen to one song, I would say listen to the title track, Isa, I-S-A. Just fantastic stuff. And here's the last one of my official 10 list. Autopsy, Mental Funeral. Man, this album, when I first heard it, it instantly connected with me. There's something about it. I'm not even a huge punk guy, but there's a huge punk aesthetic to this album. Just, it's kind of a little bit sloppy in places, and there's a huge amount of doom and groove, courtesy of Sabbath influence, like that album up there. Can't point at it. But, yeah, mixed with death metal, mixed with just greasy, grimy, dirty, disgusting death metal. I mean, even just the first song on here, Twisted Mass of Burnt Decay, is just... oh, man. I don't know what to say about this stuff. It's just perfect. It's the perfect mix of messiness and rawness with sophistication. There's a lot of weird time signatures and incredible songwriting on here. Yeah, it's just killer. It's awesome. Some of the best death metal ever created, in my opinion. This is a cool one I just picked up with a live DVD that I actually haven't watched yet, so I might have to do that tonight, possibly, or one of these days soon. And I'm gonna be a piece of shit again and show some honorable mentions real quick. That was my 10, but man, it was painful to leave this off. Probably my favorite Judas Priest album. I mean, Sad Wings of Destiny, this one, and Stained Class are all right neck and neck, but this one, there's something about it. It's got a weird kind of esoteric kind of quality to it that I just... Maybe it's the album cover. It might even just be the album cover that does it for me, but there's something about it. This is a shitty... it was like a radio cutout or something. I had to write the track names back in there, but... fun fact about this, Slayer on South of Heaven covered Dissident Aggressor, which is pretty sick. Try to run through these pretty quick, but Isan, After, I could have picked just about any Ishan album. He got me into black metal via prog metal. At first I hated his vocals, but once I got used to them, man, the music just blew me away, and it prepared me for listening to black metal with those crazy screamed vocals. This is a great album. Yeah. Coroner, No More Color, crazy technical thrash. One of my favorite thrash albums of all time. The riffs are just so intricate and technical, but they still retain great songwriting and memorability. Awesome band. And of course I had to include Death in some capacity. I could have picked a lot of different Death albums too. I mean, Symbolic, Leprosy, but this is the one that I go back to the most, I think. Human, just a masterpiece of technical death metal. So yeah, that's it. Man, almost 28 minutes, almost half an hour. I guess I talk more than I like to admit, but yeah, that's it. Those are 10 of my most played metal albums. There's some other ones that, I mean, I don't count how many times I listen to these, so it's hard to say, but those would be in that. That's my list. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like the channel, like this video, let me know what you think about any of these albums down below. If you aren't making your own videos, let me know what your top 10 would be. Give me some honorable mentions, I don't care. I'll read them. And subscribe if you liked what you saw. So thanks for tuning in, and till next time, thanks. See ya.